Good morning, evening, afternoon. Welcome to this Inner Goddess Team video series of mine. I'm Deborah Roth from Spirited Living, and I've been doing these videos for the last couple years just because I am so passionate about the commitment to bring back the divine feminine, the energies and the qualities of the divine feminine back into ourselves and into the world, male or female, whatever gender you identify, however you identify gender-wise. So this week, and you can read more about the divine feminine, you can see other videos on my YouTube channel. If you like what you see, please comment, like them, so we can spread this word of how powerful the divinely feminine energy is and how desperately our world needs it. There's also videos there that talk about more about what those qualities are. So this week I've brought in, and this is another one that I hadn't heard of, the Norse Crone Goddess, and I'll talk about that word in a minute, Elli. And she is the goddess of old age. She is the personification of old age. And when I talk about crone energy, sometimes people get a little crazy about it. They think of the Shakespearean version of crones and hags and witches, brewing their things for evil purposes. And that is far from what crones really are and who they are. Here's a beautiful reading that I'll share with you that kind of captures it. And I will say first that crone energy is we carry it all within us. It's our wise self. It's the place that is most comfortable in change, and which most of us aren't, and who acknowledges that we all carry deep wisdom within us. And yes, it's personified by older women. And in our culture, they're often ignored or worse. But in many cultures around the world, they've been revered, the elders, as being the carriers of wisdom and the clan, the tribe's knowledge throughout history. So this will give you a sense. Crone energy also, I'll get to the reading in a minute, I promise. Crone energy also is in the area of feminine spirituality, women's spirituality, is the fourth face of the divine feminine, maiden mother, Amazon, and wise woman crone. And it's demarked for women at the point that they stop bleeding, at the point that they are in menopause. And there's a whole body of really wonderful work around the fact that when we carry our wise blood within, that we are a crone at that point. So this beautiful reading, which I'm actually going to start with, I don't always start with readings, is from Donna Wilshire's book, Virgin Mother Crone, Myths and Mysteries of the Triple Goddess. And as I've said many times here before, I subscribe to the four faces of the divine feminine, which means that mothering, nurturing, Amazon queen energy falls between the mothering, nurturing energy and wise woman crone. So, but this book talks about the classic Virgin Mother Crone. And here it goes. So you can just close your eyes and take it in. This withered, dried body of the old woman is as sacred and precious and necessary to life as the withered, dried seeds in a pod are to nature. And that womb blood that creates life, the blood that contains the wisdom of the ages in it, mother-daughter, mother-daughter, mother-daughter. That wise blood no longer flows out of the crone. No, grandmother, and fill in the blank with a crone, goddess, Hecate, or in this case, it is, I don't know why that flipped around. Wise woman crone is where we are in this time of year. So it could be Hecate, it could be Elli, this personification in the Norse mythology. So look upon an old woman with love, women. She who keeps her wise blood inside. She is the source of wisdom and healing visions, Look with love on the withered old crone women. She who keeps her wise blood inside, she is the future. Isn't that beautiful? So, where I am going to take you is into a brief description of the myth of Elli. She was a giantess in Norse mythology. She was one of many of the giants that existed in that pantheon, and she lived in the castle with one of the personifications, one of the aspects of Loki, the trickster god. And in his face as a giant, he was Utgard-Loki. And in his castle, many of these nurses and giants lived together. And one day, Thor visited. Thor, who remember is the king of the gods in the Norse mythology, came to visit. And to test Thor's strength, Utgard-Loki challenges him to wrestle the old giantess Elli, rather than the strong men of Utgard-Loki's bodyguard. And Thor seems, that's going to be a piece of cake. Elli seems to be the weakest of all these giants and all the nurses that live here. So he just thought it was going to be an easy match, and he accepted the challenge. But then he struggled long and hard to defeat her. But surprisingly, she held strong. And just at the point when she'd gotten him down on one knee and was literally ready to defeat him, Utgard-Loki stepped in and called the match off, and that it was not a time, that this wasn't the way that he wanted to leave. I'm sorry, I'm being interrupted. That he wanted to leave Thor, and Thor was humiliated at the point that he left. And what Utgard-Loki said to him is that Thor admitted that he was completely humiliated, and he, because of the contest, and he said, I deceived you. In this wrestling, you contested with old age, who defeats everyone despite their strength. No one can defeat Elli, the personification of old age. And isn't that right? Now, gods in every mythology around the world, in every culture, have tried desperately to defeat old age. And in the Norse tradition, they constantly would eat the magical apples of Idun. And that was supposed to keep them from getting diseases and staving off old age and disabilities. But it was an artificial one because they had to eat these apples to do it. So the bottom line is, no one can defeat old age, and Elli personifies that in this beautiful myth. So I would invite you to look to this week, to look ahead in this time of the Crone Goddess, in this time of deep inner being and inner wisdom. Where in your life could you use some of this wisdom? You can call on Elli and the other Crone goddesses when you are facing a change or a loss, or when you're facing your own mortality. So it's a place that we're not comfortable going, and I will put in my YouTube description the links to my Honoring Ancestors New Moon virtual circle that I did, where I encouraged people to create an ancestor altar, and we connected with those who have gone before, with our wise elders who are no longer with us. So there's lots of different ways that we can do that, especially during this pivotal time of year. Now, that said, if you're watching this video at some other time that's not around, right before Halloween or the Celtic holiday of Samhain, then anytime we can tap into this wise woman crone image. So I invite you to just embrace that within yourself, to know that you all carry that wisdom within you at any time. And I will leave you with, as I love to, one of my favorite chants that really speaks to this ancient wisdom. And it goes like this. It's the blood of, start it down a little bit. It's the blood of the ancients that flows through our veins, and the forms pass, but the circle of life remains. It's the blood of the ancients that flows through our veins, and the forms pass, but the circle of life remains. It's the blood of the ancients that flows through our veins, and the forms pass, but the circle of life remains. Thank you for being with me today, for exploring your own connection to your deep wisdom and your own inner crone goddess. Look forward to seeing you again next week when we will embrace another deep, wise crone goddess. Thanks for joining me. Namaste.